Hello, it's time for a writer's workshop. Today we are going to continue talking about how to informative writing. And we're going to be focusing on how we can narrow the topic. So we remember that a how-to essay explains a process such as how to do something or how something works. It will list steps that are easy to follow. It will list any materials that are needed. It uses time order words like first, then, and next. And it's going to include some facts, definition, and extra details that really help to explain each step in the process. We've already looked at an expert model where we saw a 3-paragraph essay all about how to make Play-Doh at home. And of course, remember, we have an introduction, the body, and conclusion. We also know that when we go to write as informational writers, we want to choose topics that are interesting to us. And today we're going to be focusing specifically on how we can choose topics that are not only interesting, but they are narrowed down so you know exactly what to write about. We want to organize our ideas before we go writing. We want to think about our audience and the writing purpose. We're going to use the right vocabulary words for the topic that we're discussing, and we want to make sure that we're using facts that are correct in our writing. For the writing process, we've already brainstormed some topic ideas, and we even talked about how we can use those ideas and start planning them out and with a circle map. But today we're going to look at something back with our topic, because I've seen this a lot with our writers when they go and they do their writing and they think about the topics that they want to choose. And maybe they do something like this in their ABC chart. And they're going to put some things that they know how to do, like bake and dance, have fun, race, kickbox. And for me, I know how to teach as well. But the problem is when you look at these topics, they're a little too broad. Meaning like, okay, if I know how to dance, what type of dance am I talking about? Are you talking about ballroom dancing, tap dancing, hip hop dancing, or are you talking about a specific type of dance like the chicken dance? So when we say dance as something you know how to do, if you go to write about that, man, you're not talking about a 3-paragraph essay. You're talking about books upon books upon books about dancing. And so it's too much to talk about. That topic is too broad. So what can we do to narrow down our topic if we feel like it's too broad, like there's too much to talk about? Well, when you have a topic that maybe is too much to talk about, and you need to figure out how can I narrow it down, I want you to think about these nesting boxes. So these boxes right here, you notice one is really large, and then they get smaller and smaller and smaller, all the way to this smallest little box. And technically, if you take the lid off, they would fit all right inside of each other. But I want you to think about nesting boxes when we want to find a smaller topic. Because if we start with a big topic like dance, well, we can ask ourselves some questions to start narrowing down what specific type of dance I can really teach someone how to do. So let's take a look. This is an example of one of my friends and what they wrote about Halloween. So their topic was Halloween. And you think to yourself, well, that's not too broad, but watch what happens in their essay. Actually, this is really just a paragraph, not even an essay, but let's listen. It says, Halloween is my favorite holiday because I get to go trick-or-treating. I get a lot of candy every year. One time I was a ballerina and wore a crown. Another year I dressed up like a clown. I had red and white clown makeup on my face. It was very messy. Okay, you guys, this is okay for like the first grader or a second grader, but we're in third grade now, and I think we could do way better than this. So this person, I told this student, I said, you know what? I feel like your topic is just a little too broad and you had too many things you wanted to say, and it was kind of unorganized and all over the place. Like you talk about going trick-or-treating and getting lots of candies, and then what you were one year as a ballerina, and then another year you were a clown, and then you talked about what you wore when you were a clown, and that it was messy, and it wasn't really focused enough. So this student went back, and they decided they were going to use some nesting boxes to help narrow down the topic. So this was the thought process. They started with the big topic of Halloween, And then this person started asking questions like, do they want to talk about going trick-or-treating, eating lots of candy, or getting dressed up? And the student chose going trick-or-treating. So then they put this in the box above it. So now I know we're going to talk about something about trick-or-treating. But even trick-or-treating, you got a lot you could talk about with trick-or-treating, like where to go, what kind of bag to use or bucket to use, what kind of candy you want to get. So there's still too many things to talk about. So they started listing some more things here, like places to go trick-or-treating, who to trick-or-treat with, the time of the day to go, what costume would you wear, getting free candy from people. And they decided, oh, let's talk about how we can get candy from people. And then that took them up to, it should be wearing costumes, not candy, but what costumes you should wear. So they put that next. Okay, so now they know they want to talk about the costumes. Well, remember, every year we have a new costume, most every year. So they said, well, do I talk about my superhero costume, animal costumes, or clown costume? And then this student chose, oh, I want to talk about the clown costume. So they narrowed that down and put clown at the next box. And then finally, well, what do you want to talk about with the clown costume? Is it deciding which one, buying the certain parts and makeup, or the wig? And they chose to talk about the clown makeup. And so here now they're saying, well, what did I do with the clown makeup? Well, I had to put it on, and then you have to take it off at night. And so maybe they could describe that a little bit more of how to do clown makeup. So again, look at this. We went from this big old topic of Halloween. And again, there's so many things you could talk about with Halloween. But this student narrowed it down from Halloween to trick-or-treating. And then said, well, what specifically do I want to talk about trick-or-treating? I want to talk about my costume. Well, what costume do I want to focus on? The clown costume. And then finally, what exactly about the clown costume do you think you could teach someone how to do? And they said, oh, I could teach someone and maybe talk a little bit more about how to put on clown makeup. So let's see how this student revised from, remember this wimpy how to, and let's see how they changed it and revised it. All right, so this is a revised example. It says, my clown face. Halloween is my favorite holiday because I get to dress up in fun costumes and wear makeup. When I was little, I was a clown. I had an outfit with colored polka dots. It had a funny hat with bells and big red clown shoes. The best part of the whole costume was my makeup. My brother smeared white face paint all over my forehead, nose, and chin. Then he put 2 huge red circles on my cheeks and a big red smile on my lips. My eyes were painted like black triangles, and my nose had a puffy blue ball on it. I had so much makeup on that I couldn't wash it off that night, or wash it all off that night. The next day at school, I still had a little red circle stain on my cheeks. So do you see how much better this is? And you might think, well, when you narrow the topic, doesn't that give you less to talk about? Absolutely not. When you narrow the topic to make it a smaller topic, you can actually focus more and give more details about that narrow topic than having that big old broad topic where you're all over the place and you don't really know what to describe. And this is a perfect example of that. Now we have 3 paragraphs, and it really not only tells us about her experience of trick-or-treating and choosing this costume and putting it together, but it also tells us if you wanted to do some clown makeup, what you could do too. And it's right here in the body of this. So for your assignment today, you're going to be helping me with my own nesting boxes here. Because I'm going to come back right here. In my how-to ABC chart, I chose that I want to talk about and teach someone how to have fun. But I realized that's way too broad of a subject because there's so many things we could do to have fun. So I started my nesting boxes here, but I need your help finishing it. So I started with saying, my topic is I want to teach someone how to have fun. But then I asked myself, well, who would I have fun with? My friends, my family, or my classmates? And I chose family. And then I wrote family in my next box here. All right, and now I know I'm going to talk about having fun with the family, but where? Where do I want to be with my family? Would I be at school, probably not with my family, but maybe at home, at the park. And I chose, well, since right now most of us are at home with our family a lot, maybe I could teach someone how to have fun at home with their family. So I chose home, and that's going to be right here. And then I asked myself, well, what can I do at home with my family to have fun? And a couple things that I like to do is use crafts or play games. So now this is where I got stuck. I couldn't make my choice. Do I want to choose crafts or games? And what could I really teach someone how to do? And so here's what you're going to do. Your assignment is you need to help me finish narrowing the topic of how to have fun with your family at home. And you're going to follow these 3 steps. Step 1 is over here. Step 2 is on the left. And step 3 is back over here on the right. And step 1 says, first, you need to choose, and this is your choice, not mine. What would you rather talk about? Would you talk about choose crafts or games? And whatever you choose, you're going to take this red circle and you're going to move it to your choice. So let's say if you know how to do some really cool crafts at home, maybe that's what you're going to choose. Or if you know how to play a really fun game with your family and you want to talk about that, you're going to choose games. So whatever you choose, you're going to drag and drop this red circle here. That's step 1. Step 2, you are going to click right here in this purple box and you're going to type either the word craft, if that's what you circled, or game, if that's what you circled. So actually, you know what? I'm going to do one myself. Like I'm going to do crafts, and I'm going to type here crafts, because that's my choice. But now I need to ask myself, what craft can I do with my family? So if you chose craft, you're only going to list crafts here. If you chose game, you're only going to list some games here. And so for me, I know how to make slime. And maybe another craft is, I know how to make a picture frame. And so maybe those would be 2 different crafts that I could choose. And slime's not, I don't know if it's necessarily craft, but I'm going to call it that. And then now that I have at least 2, and you could do more, you could do 3 or 4, it's up to you. Step 3 says I need to narrow this down to just 1 of those crafts or games that I could write about in my how-to as a topic. And so I'm going to choose 1 of these, and I'm going to put my circle around my choice. And then finally up here, so it says choose 1 that you want to use, and you're going to type that in the green box. So whatever the choice is here, now I'm going to type in my choice. Okay, now remember, this is just an example, but on yours, you are going to have to make the choice of crafts or games in step 1. You're going to type that in step 2, and then list either crafts or games here that you know how to do and you could do with your family at home. And then finally, put your narrowed topic right here at the very top. All right. If you have any questions or you want to review what the directions are, you can always click up here and listen to an audio recording of the directions once again. That's it for me. Let's go be writers.